My mother was a closet racist and stole the pregnancy test results meant for my sister that I paid for because she didn't like that the baby's daddy was Hispanic. Now, as you know from the last story, my mother tried to act like she's in charge of my life and also acted like my house was hers to give away. Well, that ended very badly for both her and my spoiled sister because I threatened to expose them. And that whole incident inspired me to get cameras for my house, both inside and out. My dad was old school. He didn't care for cameras at home. Hell, he didn't even care for TV, save for the occasional movie. He mostly enjoyed his scotch with a cigarette and a good book. But now I own his house, and the cameras were a very needed upgrade. And just in case, my girlfriend and I didn't tell anybody outside of our close friend circles about them. And those that do know were sworn to secrecy and kept their word. A couple of weeks had gone by without any word from my sister or my mother other than what I was seeing on my sister's social media. She was constantly complaining about having to live in our mother's basement, and I'm pretty sure she was making my mother miserable for it. But what came next surprised me. I got a frantic call from my sister saying that her boyfriend was questioning whether or not he was the father of her pregnancy, and he was threatening to leave without a paternity test. My sister swore up and down to me that she'd always been faithful to him. I admit, I believed there was a chance she could be lying because our mother's own past affair made our father question our paternity as well. So I suggested they get the DNA test, but my sister just babbled about how they don't have a lot of money. I offered to pay for it, so long as she didn't come to me asking for money or favors often. She quickly agreed. I arranged for the test and even shelled out extra to make sure we get the test results ASAP, but it still said it would take a few days. I hadn't met my sister's boyfriend yet, but when I did, I started to understand a bit more. He's half Hispanic, and my mother, though not open about it, is quite the closet racist, something she got from my grandparents, sadly. I decided to try and talk to the guy and took him out for a drink. And while at the pub, he spilled his guts to me. He said that my mother had been whispering in his ear about how my sister is just like her and she's cheated before, so my sister might have as well. This made him have doubts that grew every day. And he said he wasn't sure my sister didn't cheat or get pregnant on purpose to try and baby trap him, so she won't have to work any more than she already does with her little part-time online sales job. Sadly, I knew he was probably right about the latter. But other than that, he's described her as a completely different person when she's not around our mother. But ever since they've been living in my mom's basement, she's become more and more like a child. After what I saw in my house, I wholeheartedly believed him. So I asked if he suggested she get therapy. He admitted that he's wanted to, but didn't have the money and had been walking on eggshells around her and our mother for a while, so he never talked about it. Well, I guess that made some brotherly instincts I didn't know I still had kick in, because I started to realize if I was going to have a niece or a nephew, I couldn't let them live with or be raised by my mother, so I did the only thing I could think to do. I told him that if the DNA results came back positive, I'd offer him a job and training at the company that I now own. He very quickly agreed because he doesn't want to live with my mother any more than he has to. Well, the day of the DNA test results coming in the mail came pretty fast, but my sister called me saying they weren't in the mail she'd gotten that day. I asked who got the mail from the P.O. box and she answered it was our mother. That pretty much confirmed my theory that she was trying to force out my sister's boyfriend, but since I don't and never really have trusted my mother, with my sister's consent, I preemptively got the clinic to send a copy of the DNA results to my address as well, and they did come in the mail the same day. I called my mother and asked if she'd taken the DNA test results. The following conversation is more or less what I recall since it wasn't recorded. Hello, Mom. I heard that sister's DNA test didn't come in the mail today. Mother.
Yes, but it could be here soon.
Did you take it? I know it arrived today as I paid to have it set up as priority mail.
What? How dare you accuse me of such a thing? I would never.
Okay, then I guess I'll bring over the backup copy that was sent to me.
Backup copy?
Yeah, I had one sent to me as well the same day since I paid for it. Sister gave her okay and everything. I guess I'll just call her then and we'll meet up.
Wait, that's not necessary.
Click. I hung up the phone and called my sister right away. I picked up my sister and her boyfriend from my mother's house and drove them to a local diner restaurant. And there we opened the envelope together. Sure enough, the test results were positive. My sister's boyfriend was so happy that he actually asked her if she'd want to marry him, and she said yes like a half dozen times. The little vindictive part of me was just waiting to see my mother's face when she got the news, but what happened next honestly shocked me. When I took my sister back home, her and her boyfriend's stuff was in the process of being put out onto the lawn by a few men that we didn't recognize. My sister froze with the look on her face that I've never seen before. Our mother came huffing outside in in a rage while holding the DNA test results she claimed never arrived, and then verbally began tearing into my sister.
How could you make a baby with that?
Insert Hispanic racial slur here.
I thought you were dating him, just a stupid phase. Now you're gonna have a baby with him and marry him. I would have been sort of okay with this little spawn around if you weren't raising it in my home. And this,
Insert Hispanic racial slur here.
wasn't around anymore.
She said all of this while pointing at my sister's boyfriend. But mommy,
No buts, young lady. I demand that you abort that little hell spawn from your belly right now or leave my house at once.
Then she turned to me while snapping her fingers and said,
And you, I hope you're proud of yourself. I tried to make this family normal, but you wouldn't do as I said like a good son should. And now all my plans are ruined. You're all a bunch of...
Insert other racial slur here. Meanwhile, my sister was on her knees in the grass holding her belly crying, I can't. My mother then actually grabbed my sister's hair and was poised, ready to take a swing at her. But one good glare from me and she froze in place and then rigidly lowered her arm. So she just let out a loud growl and stormed back into our house screaming,
She's your problem now, OP. I no longer have any children.
That night, I put my sister and her boyfriend up in a hotel till a friend of my lawyer that works in real estate helped arrange an apartment for them ASAP. And like I promised, I gave my sister's boyfriend a job. He's new and pretty much starting at the bottom rung, but he's a quick learner. It'll take a while, but I'll get him in a good position. And he's very happy to work for me. My sister is now in therapy paid for by my company's insurance and has already started to act more mature than I've ever seen her. She stopped referring to our mother as mommy and even started talking about her the way that I do. She's come to me recently and she said she's working harder now and told me I was right about being a spoiled mooch and that she's gonna work hard to be a good mother and provider for her child. Her therapist seems to be doing a really great job. As for my mother, well, she actually drove up to my house in broad daylight when no one was home and broke several of my front windows with large rocks she had in metal buckets. And the rocks had slurs written all over them. But thanks to those cameras I put in, she was caught pretty easily. I had the footage in police hands that same day. I didn't bother to ask for repayment for the damages she caused. The windows were old anyway, and it just gave me an excuse to remodel. But I pressed charges and even got a restraining order. She's not allowed within 500 feet of me or my property. She also took quite the downfall online, as I had a dash cam in my car that picked up everything my mother said and did that evening that she kicked my sister out. And this time, I did show it to the rest of the family. My sister also pretty much told the same story on her Facebook. That destroyed my mother's remaining image to her side of the family. So she's not really speaking much to any of them anymore. My mother didn't lose her job or anything because I didn't go that far. She's not set to retire for another decade or so, but some of her more petty relatives started submitting fake bad reviews for her Airbnb, and now she's probably losing customers. I've heard from one of the few relatives she's still talking to that she's pretty depressed and looks like a shell of her former self now. Was I the jerk? So this entire time, the mother thought that the sister was in her corner, probably because she thought that she was going to set up this whole scheme to yank the house from their brother and give it to the sister, so the sister would have loyalty towards the mother for that. But as soon as that plan fell apart, it sounds like everything fell apart here. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about when it comes to this whole house situation, you can check out the previous video and there's a whole big old story about it. It seems in this situation that the boyfriend was pretty down between not even being sure if the sister was faithful to him and having to live with the mother and just seeming like it was a horrible situation. But it is pretty cool that the OP actually went out of his way to go meet up with the boyfriend, talk to him one-on-one, got his perspective, and then at the end of it offered him a job at this place, the company that he owns now. In this situation, it seems like the mother made her relationships with her two kids irreparable. I mean, she even says that I don't have children now because she doesn't approve of the baby and also everything that happened from the first story with the brother, the OP. But for some people, the way that both of those scenarios went down would be unforgivable, even within their own family. So I wouldn't be surprised if neither one of them ever had a relationship with their mother again. But let me know what you think down below. What would you do, and jerk or not a jerk, and why? Am I the jerk for making my stepson walk on his engagement night? My stepson, Rowan, who's 23, just got engaged to his fiancée. She comes from a very highly conservative family and they both won't live together until after marriage. They're both on great terms, and I have to say, her parents are a bit much. So the engagement party was held at a restaurant. I drove my wife, Rowan, and his best friend Jack because Rowan's car needed some work. Things went quite well. The party ended and everyone went home. On the way back, I had to stop by the store so I could grab something for our 16-year-old son. Rowan, Jack, and I waited in the car. Rowan and Jack kept laughing. Then this young lady walked toward us because her car was parked next to mine in the parking lot. Rowan kept trying to speak to her while she was trying to load her stuff in the car. He and Jack kept throwing words at her and she seemed annoyed. Jack then said, "Hey, he just wants to look at that booty." And then Rowan said, "Let me see it jiggle, baby." I was appalled. I told them to knock it off, but then Rowan sarcastically replied, "Relax, I was just giving her a compliment. I bet you don't get many of those often." The lady got in her car and I started arguing with him about his behavior and shamed him for acting like this on his own engagement night. He argued back, saying something about my car and I lost it. I told him to get out immediately. Jack got involved, so I kicked him out too. My wife got back and started engaging in the argument, saying I can't let her son walk home from his engagement party. I replied that her son cannot be harassing other women on the way back from his engagement party, but she kept defending him. I told her to either stay or get in the car. She did, and I drove off. Rowan didn't come home and my wife gave me hell for it. We later found out that he was staying at one of his guy friends' place. From what I understand, he's pissed at me and he's refusing to see me. My wife said it was my fault, that I escalated the situation over some stupid things that boys his age do all the time. I told her he can't do this while in my car, but she took it as I was holding it over his head. She said I should have never made him walk the night of his engagement and demanded that I apologize to him. So, was I the jerk for kicking him and his friend out of the car on his engagement night? Regardless of what night it is, why would you do that to anybody at any time? I mean, if that's what he's comfortable doing in front of his own father in this car, imagine what him and his friend are doing when they don't think anybody's watching or they don't have anything to hold them back. Maybe they were super slosh because they came from an engagement party, or maybe he wasn't at all because the whole conservative family on the wife's end, the future wife's end. But either way, I don't think anyone in their right mind would just stand by and hear that go down and then just be okay with it and say, "Oh yeah, no problem." I think the wife probably thinks that the OP, the father here, overreacted because she didn't hear the son say it directly. She's hearing it secondhand, and maybe hearing that directly would have been a shocking impact when it hit her, how her son really behaves. Because I mean, in this situation, you are a group of people harassing somebody who's alone, vulnerable, and probably afraid because there's multiple people and they don't know what the whole situation is. So it's not so funny to that person. Anyway, let me know what you guys would do down below, jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for calling my friend an idiot for wanting a maternity test? My friend Dan recently found out he might be a father. I say might because the girl he's been having an off and on relationship with, Cara, is pregnant and he's not sure if he's the dad. She offered to get a paternity test once the baby is born and doesn't expect any kind of support until they find out if the baby is his. He's on board with that and appreciates that she's not pushing him into fatherhood if the baby isn't his. The issue is that when he was talking to me about it, he also said that he wants to get a maternity test done to make sure the baby is hers. Cara is visibly pregnant. We know she's pregnant because she did a maternity photo shoot and posted it on social media. So it's obvious she's not faking being pregnant. We've both seen her in person too, and she is most definitely pregnant. However, Dan believes that the baby may not be hers. I tried to explain to him that that's not how biology works, and unless she got an embryo planted in her, then she's definitely the mother. She's a waitress and works for minimum wage plus tips, so I doubt she has the money to afford embryo implantation. Plus, it's ridiculous to think that she'd do all of that just to baby trap a guy who is unemployed and living with his parents at age 32. Plus, he's never donated his seed. He's genuinely convinced that the baby may not biologically be hers, despite not only me, his mom, and our other friends explaining how that's not how babies/pregnancy work. He's still insisting insisting on a maternity test and told me that I was being ridiculous and that I'm the one who doesn't understand biology despite me studying to be an autopsy pathologist, which has required quite literally years of biology classes. I got fed up and called him a senseless idiot and told him to call me when he got his head screwed back on straight. Ever since then, he's been spamming my phone and has gotten a couple of our friends to spam me as well, telling me I'm being so insensitive and that he's just stressed out about possibly being a dad. So, am I the jerk for calling my friend an idiot? So it sounds like he's thinking that there may be another baby double, and if he hasn't given his seed to any banks anywhere, then how else could that happen other than he is also hooking up with other people, because it sounds like she is, and that's why there's a question as to whose kid it is. But the maternity test is just being in the room while the baby is being born. Like other people pointed out, if the baby comes out of her, she passed the test. It sounds like he's probably just freaking out about this whole situation and isn't thinking straight, but let me know what you would do if you were in this situation, being the friend who has to explain to the potential father. And jerk or not a jerk, and why?